Hello. Mannequin challenge. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Shoe Podcast, the only sneaker podcast that is getting more and more confident we're going to be wearing short sleeve shirts on Christmas. I'm your co-host, Ryan Landry. It's getting warm.
I'm your co-host, Tanner Young. Yeah, I've been just keeping that AC down.
Might as well at this point. Yeah. We're
What's
inside.
the worst that's going to happen?
We're wearing the jackets. We're wearing the hoodies. We want to pretend we're in a winter wonderland, but really we're in a summer hell. We got into
it's
the upper 70s today.
Yeah, I'm so excited. I think it was last week whenever we had a little bit of that cold front. We did a little trolley tour. With going to see some Christmas lights with the family. And I got to wear, Ryan will know because he bought me this jacket. Actually, you bought me both. That Ruckus hoodie you bought me.
Yeah.
I had that. Plus, you remember that Broncos?
The Denver Broncos. When you said jacket, I was like, I think I've only ever got you two. So it's got to be that one, I'm assuming. Yeah.
I wore both of those the whole night.
Comfy.
That's how cold.
Yeah.
I wanted that experience. And it was great. And I got to have it. So even if I'm sweating for Christmas, I'm like, I technically got the cold Christmas experience. And
just
I'm very excited.
I want it on the day. Not on the day. Yeah. I think it's going to come back around though.
I'm hoping. Yeah. You know, we even we're like, hey, you know what would be cool is doing like a winter vacation. Yellowstone.
Go back?
Yeah. Go back. I'm telling you, I fell in love with Yellowstone.
You fell in love with Bozeman, Montana is what you fell in love with. Gardner, Montana?
Gardner.
It was one of those towns. Yeah.
It was Gardner.
It was Gardner, I did. You told me.
I did. It was Yellowstone, which I think was maybe my first national park, but Ryan and his wife
big national park couple. That's where we're going in February.
When I went to Yellowstone, I was like, oh, yeah, okay, I get the national park hype. Turns out you thought Yellowstone was pricey. You go in the winter when they have to close everything.
Yeah.
We're not going.
So. We're going. Listeners, we're going to talk about shoes at some point. If you're watching, there will be a timestamp down below if you want to skip to the shoes.
We got you.
But we yap. We in our February vacation are doing New Mexico and Texas national parks because those are the ones you don't want to hit in the summer. So, not that expensive. Pretty reasonably priced area. So,
yeah.
Come back in. Come back in a few months.
I don't want to talk ill on a couple states, but New Mexico kind of hurting.
You think so?
Dude, I bet Roswell is popping right now, though.
That's true. Wow. Topical. That should have been the intro. Yeah.
Everybody in Roswell is like, we told you. We've been telling you for years.
Yeah.
Yo, man, you gotta have a great time.
Well, we'll see. New Mexico we'll see in February what's still going on at that point. Yeah.
Yeah. Keep the drones in the air. Keep the aliens in the sea.
Yeah. In the sea? Is that where they are?
That's what they said.
They're saying they're in the water?
They said that
update.
They said they've been living in the ocean for forever, and then now I don't know what that is, and we're like, that seems weird.
To be fair,
apparently also you can go to Miami, they're in the mall. I don't know, man. They just gotta do what they need to do.
I mean, to be fair, they're aliens. Why would we think they'd stay in one place? You know, you come all this way to go to Earth. Why would you just stay in Roswell the whole time? You might as well tour, see a little. Dude, we live here, we tour and see a little, you know?
That first alien that crossed and came back, it was like, I got to tell you about California. You're not going to freaking believe what they're doing in Paris, dude.
Yeah. That's too funny.
They got a name for it, man.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for coming back to another episode of Shoe Podcast. And a thank you to everyone who subscribed and got us over the 600 mark on YouTube.
Yes.
600 subscribers. Yes. We were talking just last week how we were getting close to it, and we did it over the weekend. So thank you very much. And if you missed it, make sure you check out last week's episode where we did an award show for sneakers of the year. And so it wasn't all the best sneakers of the year. We had a category for worst sneakers, most innovative, best collaboration. And we each gave our pick for each of those categories. So a longer one. Well, we'll see how long this one goes, but longer than our standard one. But today we are back to talk about just each of our personal top 3 sneakers of the year. Everything considered, just like each of our own top 3 lists for sneaker of the year. I'm excited to get into it. I think we got some good picks here. We're a little biased saying that because they are our picks.
They are our picks.
They're good picks. Yeah.
I think so. I think good picks. I think some that I think align with, like, I think a lot that probably people will be like, yeah, that makes sense. I figured that would be in a top list for sure.
So to that point, and let's jump into it here. Talk to me a little bit about, before we get into our list, we're going to talk about the criteria and thought process when making our list. So Tanner and I have a separate list. We each have our own top 3, and we don't necessarily get together ahead of time and say, like, how are you deciding your top 3? We don't agree on certain rules that we share here. I think the only rule is that it should be a sneaker that came out this year. That's kind of the whole premise here.
Yeah.
But what were your thoughts and criteria? And also, how hard was it to come up with your list?
Coming up with the list was a little bit more complicated. I felt like they had a lot of really great sneakers this year. I guess it's tough. We did talk about in last week's episode. I guess maybe just with the internet and everything going on, it doesn't feel like we have like these major moments. We have a lot of moments. Yeah. I just think that because things are so fast that we don't have like these like big outstanding moments. And I think that's why like you get a lot of like clickbaity of those like clips around like Instagram of like when you ask people their sneaker of the year, because it just kind of depends on how much on the internet were you,
that's a good point.
Of how big that moment was. But I thought it was pretty decent. I think it always helps because we do our award show like before this one. So you go back into that catalog and you really start looking. So you're kind of doing some prep work for this episode
inadvertently, indirectly. Yeah.
Yeah. But kind of when I was thinking, my number one was, would I want these? Would I want to buy them? Could I see them being in my rotation? Wanting to wear them. That's always the biggest thing is, do I want to wear it? Would I want to buy it? Is kind of the most important thing to me. Maybe it's that 33, hidden, but I'm like, how comfy is this shoe going to be?
Yeah, because that's getting more and more important these days.
If it's kind of one of those things also now where I'm like, if I'm putting on like, I'm going out and probably going to be out, like that means I gotta be comfy.
Yeah. Listen,
I have to be comfy.
Our show's going to go on forever, but our knees will not. Not at all.
No, they will. No, they will not. It's my heels now, man. My heels.
It's everything. Yeah. It's everything there.
Yeah. So would want to buy, would want to wear in the sense of one, style and also comfort is the things that were big to me. I feel like because, I just am always talking with you. This year was I really looked at collaborations. I think that definitely was something that kind of gave the edge with coming to this. I think that is kind of the route that sneakers are going. So collaborations were not a must, but kind of a must.
It's tough because it's like in a sea of so many GRs, collaborations are typically the stuff that gets pushed to the top and marketed a little bit more and made to be more of a moment than just so many of the GRs. Not that, like GRs are inherently bad, but I acknowledge that I, for whatever reason, have some sort of bias that like if the thought of putting a GR on my top list crosses my mind, I try really hard for some reason to like push it off the list again, like, cause in my head, my brain's like, that can't be a top shoe. It's just a GR, that's not necessarily a great attitude and opinion to have, but there's just something about it that I'm ahead. It's like, well, sure, that can be a good sneaker, but like, is it going to be a sneaker of the year sneaker? Like, no, it was a GR. It could have sat at the mall, but that doesn't make something a not great sneaker.
Yeah. So is that, like when you came into thinking of your list, how were there what other factors, I guess, were a part of you creating this list aside from kind of, like you said, that split between GR and collab?
Yeah. So for anyone who has caught this episode, been a listener of the show for a while, you will know or remember that in years past, my list, I try to maintain a pretty healthy sense of like, were these shoes relevant and important to sneakers this year? When we look back on this year, a few years from now, will we think that these shoes kind of defined this year in sneakers? Like, were these some of the biggest, most important moments? This year, however, this is my least objective / most subjective list. This is my, I tried to keep some consideration around, the impact and the thoughtfulness, but my list was pretty driven, kind of like yours, of like shoes that I think look cool and would like to wear. There's still a touch, there's a pinch of it in there of like, was this important? Was this thoughtful? Did it have impact? But more than any other year, this is kind of like here are 3 shoes that came out this year that I really like, Yeah. So less of like this was important because of like the things that it moved in the sneaker industry, or like, here's what this signified. Less of that this year. Not none of that, but just a whole lot less of that.
Yeah. I kind of agree. I think I've got one in here that I think will have that reflection of like, oh yeah, that definitely was 2024. But I feel like most of it is just like, nope, that's just that's what I liked.
Yeah. So I will say my list was a little harder for me to choose the order of my top 3. What was in my top 3 was pretty solid, pretty fine. I was kind of shifting it around between what goes where, because I feel like you were saying earlier, if I had to kind of summarize this year as sneakers, it felt like a continuation of last year, where there was more and more evolution from the underdogs of like Hoka, On, Asics, Saucony, and to some extent New Balance, pushing at Nike and Adidas, or kind of taking some of their moments away, right? It wasn't so Nike and Adidas dominated, kind of like 2020 through 2022 was, and before 2020. Yeah. So it kind of felt like, there were less, like, if sneakers are a trend line, because data, and like normally like the big collabs or like spikes like that, this year it felt like there were less spikes, but the whole bar kind of just came up higher, like it was a lot like less giant moments, but just overall more good footwear coming out. So from that, it's tougher to pick like, here were the real standout things that jumped out at me, but we got there eventually. But before we get into our list, one last thing we're going to hold you with here. We did an episode back in July of this year where we predicted halfway through the year, what are the sneakers of the year so far. I thought it'd be fun to quickly reminisce on this list. So Tanner, if you wouldn't mind listing from honorable mention up to first place, your picks and overall how you think your list aged now 6 months later in the rearview mirror.
Okay. Well, honorable mention, I've got the Futura Dunks. Yeah. Which, could say, call it, little weird take, in last week's episode, which,
the comments let you know. The comments let him know.
They let me know. That's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. Third place, I had the New Balance 550, the vintage, this one specifically, the green.
Yeah.
Whereas, I had talked about more the red, the red, but still I like the vintage pack.
Yeah.
Second place, I got a Nike Vomero 5, which is beautiful. And then first place was the Soul Asic.
The Kith. Yeah.
The Kith. Yes. The Kith collab of the Soul Asic. So I like this list. I think this is a great list. It's very funny looking at this list because I'm looking and I'm like, a lot of it, I'm like, it's not wrong. And when it's wrong, it's also still kind of right. You know?
The mental gymnastics over there. No,
I'm not not mad.
It's not a bad list. It is a Tanner list. This you can see right here, ladies and gentlemen, the criteria of like, this is stuff that he would like to wear. And there's nothing wrong with that. It just looks 100%. Funny when you compare to a lot of like other sneaker media's traditional sneaker of the year list, where they're like, here's the biggest stuff that came out. And Tanner's is like, here's the cool stuff that I'd want to wear. But that's your criteria. Nothing wrong with that.
Very true. Yeah, very true. So I look at this list and I like it. I still think it's a really good list. I think the New Balance 550 doesn't hold maybe as much now as then. I think my kind of hype for it, while I still like not as big, but I also had it as third place, so I'm not super mad at that. I still really like the Kith Asics, the Souls. I think those are still really good. I think right now that may be the biggest thing that I'd be like, first place. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I think still a good list. Like I said, even when I'm wrong, I'm right on this list.
When I look at a list like this is when more than ever I acknowledge my GR bias, and I look at them like, what the hell are those Vomeros doing in second place for sneaker of the year? Not a bad shoe, not an ugly shoe, but I just look at them like, what even are those? They're just, you know, they're some Vomeros.
I love it. I love it because it's also right next to, like everyone's like either number 2 or number 3 shoe.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So
very funny.
On that note, my list from July of this year, what I thought the sneaker of the year was so far 6 months in. Honorable mention, the Salehi Bembury Crocs Pollux Juniper. Stand by it. Third place, the Adidas Anthony Edwards AE1. I know why I put it on there. This is transition, right? This is transition of Ryan being like, it's a significant shoe. It's an important shoe. And it is. It still is. I think Complex put it as their number 1 sneaker of the year. And I see why. From their lens of like the most important, impactful sneakers, Adidas Performance Basketball dominating as much as it does in 2024. Applause all around.
Kind of wild.
But it's not a shoe that I would wear. Second place, the Nina Chanel Abney Air Jordan 3. Talked about it all last week. And first place, the undefeated Nike Air Terra Humara, specifically cargo khaki colorway. Oof. I was still riding a high from early in the year of when those came out. So, you know, we'll see. I stand by the list. Still a good list. Okay. I can look in the rearview mirror and say Ryan was still trying to appease and come off as like knowledgeable or whatever by putting the AE ones on the list. I was trying to, you know, trying to outsmart myself. Yeah.
The complex panel. Yeah.
Not today.
Oh,
today it's a new list.
Okay.
And shall we get into it? So the way we go, we got an honorable mention, third place, second place, first place. You know how lists work. For each category, Tanner will give his, then I'll give mine, and we'll each kind of talk about our reasoning of why we get there. We went hour and a half last week. I don't know if we'll go hour and a half this week, but
try and keep it. We'll
do our best. We'll do our best for you all. So Tanner, honorable mention, what was on the table, what made the cut?
Boy, let me tell you what, this one, I think this is, which is interesting because it's honorable mention. I think this is probably my favorite pick because for me personally, I think this fits my criteria of honorable mention. For honorable mention, I don't think of this as fourth place. I think of this as, I like this, but I don't think I like this for me.
Oh,
this is the way I kind of looked at honorable mention this year was, I think this was a part of 2024. This is something that I like. This is something that I do want to see more of. I don't know if it's me, and that was honorable mention. And I think that's why it's my favorite, because it's the less of just like, I liked it, you know?
Okay, there you go.
And I think it fit more of that, if you want to say like, sophisticated thought process, you know, behind it.
Okay.
Which is funny to say that because my honorable mention is the Salehi Bidberry and Crocs collab with the Pollux Juniper.
I'm ready.
Like this, I don't know this colorway name specifically for this one. But when Ryan and I were going through this, it is for our audio listeners. The upper is that primary kind of like green, and the midsole kind of has this like very like lava appeal to it. It looks very like a dark kind of like grayish green with an orange.
This is the Sud colorway, SUDD.
Sud. There you go. This, I understand this shoe better. I still don't. I would have to see it.
Yeah,
I would have to see the shoe. I have to put this shoe on.
I don't know if I've worn my pair around you. I don't have this colorway, but I have the Tahini colorway. I don't know if I've worn those around you yet. They're so heavy.
I don't think so.
They are that bottom is like a solid block of rubber. Yeah.
I would imagine so.
I was gonna say next time I see you, but next time I see you will probably be Christmas, and I don't know if the Salehi Juniper Crocs are part of my Christmas fit. I'm not saying they're not. Fair. I just can't commit just yet.
And maybe that's why it's on my honorable mention, because it can't be in a Christmas fit.
What a criteria.
Yeah. So that to me was why I had to. When I thought honorable mention, that was the shoe that kind of came to me. Was I think it is a shoe that is still worth talking about because it is a wild looking shoe. Again, we have Crocs becoming a big name that people are talking about. Obviously, you can't. Salehi has done that with Crocs and has done that for Crocs. And I think that is one of the things where like I was so excited to be able to talk about this as the honorable mention because, you know, that, I mean, yeah, he took a meme footwear and made it something that like, oh no, people are wearing this.
Yeah.
And I think that's really cool. And like I said, there are pieces of this shoe that I like. There's pieces of the shoe that I don't like. I love the midsole on these shoes and how they creep up. And then, like I said, it's like lava coming and it's so great. But then it's like, what if the top was pea green? Like
he's
not urine,
wild on the
vegetable.
Colorways. Yeah. Sorry, audio listeners.
Sorry.
Well, video listeners too. We don't.
Video, yeah.
I wonder what the YouTube subtitles but you might just got us demonetized. We're not monetized, but if we had any shot of it, it's out. Yeah.
Yeah. So then I'm like, well, that was a choice. Like, what? But that's what I appreciate about this shoe. I appreciate the weirdness.
Yeah.
That they're doing, and that to me was why it was important to put as honorable mention.
Good choice. I like it.
Thank you.
For reasons that I won't disclose, but you can probably
assume.
I'm not going to talk too in depth about this shoe right now. But it is a good shoe. That's all I'll say. A good pick. I was surprised to see this one show up as a pick for you. Not that like this is a not used shoe, but I think just because I don't recall this being a nominee in any of your categories last week. So I didn't know how on your radar this shoe was.
Yeah, it definitely came into a little bit more like coming from that. And then, like I said, I really changed my criteria for honorable mention for this year. And like I said, my honorable mention was just something that I kind of think still deserves a spotlight. I didn't consider this like a first one out of fourth place. I really thought of my honorable mention as something that I like, but I don't want, but I want more of. It's an enigma. It's confusing.
Ooh,
it's exciting.
This is your Frank Ocean, right? You want it just because they won't let you have it. And you're like, I just need more of this. Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Good pick. I like it.
Okay. Thank you.
I think I inadvertently followed your criteria for my honorable mention. As you started describing, I didn't really have a criteria for my honorable mention. The way that my list kind of came together was that, right, like my top three was kind of like my best of the best, like my great that came out. But then beneath that, there's the layer of good, a lot to be considered, and then there's everything else.
Sure.
But in the layer of good to choose honorable mention from, right, there's J-Tips and Saucony. That's on the, when I think of my list is a pretty big scale between like shoes that are important and shoes that I want to wear. And there's a little bit of overlap in that Venn diagram that we'll get to. J-Tips and Saucony, right? Kind of like huge moments this year. Crazy to see him doing such big stuff with that underdog brand. Not for me to wear. Marvel, Asics, and Kith. Crazy on the details. Kind of felt a little bit of a repeat from last year, but they changed it enough, but still great execution. I'm in your Jordan 3. Insane, good shoe, not bad, great luxury details, not something I wanted to pick up. So there was a lot of stuff that kind of like bounced around in my mind of like what I might consider. And ultimately what I landed on, which I'm still not sure that I'm in love with, but I'm happy enough with, is the Futura Laboratories and Nike Dunk Low. The, what do we call this? Bleached Aqua. Not a shoe that I've been a particularly large advocate and proponent of. I think it is a good shoe. I think it's a fine shoe. For whatever reason, I'm not as crazy about this shoe as most other people seem to be. I think I'm just not, it's just not the one for me. But the more I thought about it, again, everything that was kind of in that block of shoes that for me wasn't my top three, but was still really good stuff. This one for me was kind of the next best pick of like, I'm not itching to wear it, but I would wear it. You know, like a lot of the other stuff, like J-Tip Saucony, not something I would really wear. Marvel A6 Kith, this time around, not really something I would wear. This one I kind of would. I'd still like, not really the sort of thing that I'd put on a lot, but Futura, Nike SB, two just, you know, softballs in the world of sneakers coming together here. Kind of hard to deny it. So it's in there. I'm not mad at it.
I like it.
I'm not thrilled on it either.
Okay. I will also.
Listeners, that was a good time to tell you, maybe more than any year in the past, more overlap between our lists, you know?
A little
bit more. And not all the way to the top here or anything like that. There's some pretty good.
Definitely at the bottom.
Separation. But yeah, at the bottom, I think just, you know.
Yeah.
Our collaboration circle, our everything. We're just slowly melding into one person here.
Yeah. Well, spoiler alert, Ryan just changed the background. Hey, third place. When I thought about my third place, I kind of had the somewhat of the kind of moving up into it. And obviously, again, now we're getting into would I want it? Would I want to wear it? Would I have it? You know, that's where things start becoming more of a consideration when I'm looking at third, second, and first place. So for third place, I looked at something that I would want to wear that is outside of that comfort zone, but still kind of muted enough to be something that I would want to wear, but maybe like I could have this, like I'm going somewhere that I know there's going to be people who are into sneakers. So I'm going to wear this. That's a little flashy, but still kind of not like real over the top branding. So for me, I ended up going with the Futura and Nike SB Dunk Low.
You love to see it.
This is something that like it's not a daily driver, that's for sure, but it's something that like I said, it's loud. It's louder than what I normally wear, but still it's not super out there. It's not a super crazy look. I really liked the kind of watercolor look that it has to it. I really liked that. I always was hype on the shoelaces, and especially like the ankle liner and on the inside of the tongue. So having that was also something that was really cool. So that's kind of why I put this one in my third place for me. Was it's outside of the normal comfort zone, but not so far outside. I can still see the comfort cottage.
The comfort cottage.
You know?
Yeah. I think one of the best cases I heard being made for this sneaker online was a lot of people saying that it just kind of restored the feeling of early Nike SB Dunks. You know, like the art style of it, Futura kind of having that Nike SB history behind him, but also kind of like, you know, kind of reminiscent a little bit of Paris's almost in that, you know, the paneling, all the different like colors on it there.
The
obviously
melding.
not so much blue. Yeah. So that's what I heard some people saying. I think maybe Matt Welty from Complex probably mentioned that on the panel that they did, but yeah, kind of restores that early feeling of Nike SB. So I get it. I see it, just not something that I'm necessarily crazy for, but both of us on our list, you know?
Yeah. Made the talk.
Yeah.
Made the talk.
All right. For me, coming in at number 3 here, again, my top 3, if I would describe it as a Venn diagram, right, there's one shoe that's in this circle, which is probably like important to sneakers. There's one shoe in this circle that is like, I really want to wear it, but not important to sneakers. And then there's one shoe that is in the cross of the Venn diagram there. So this one for me is the important in sneakers, but not something that I know if I'd necessarily want to wear. And that is the Nina Chanel Avni Air Jordan 3.
Okay.
I think a good shoe. I think a great shoe. It's just not an all green, but a predominantly all green shoe. Just not sure if it's something that I'm ready for right now. But I did want to put it on the list. It made my list because I do think it was important to sneakers. I think personally, this one's not getting the recognition that it deserves. That I'm not seeing enough people's top 10 lists of the year. I feel like it should at least be in the 10. You know, for me personally, it'd be in the top 5, but for some, I just feel like it belongs in the 10. But kind of the thoughts that I jotted down here was that, you know, there's already so few collaborators who get to do the Jordan 3. So the fact that she got to add her name to that list while also doing her play on the Jumpman logo and the chenille stitch swoosh, not swoosh, the chenille stitch back tab there where it says Nike Air, and did such a left turn from normal OG Jordan 3 colorways, pulled it all off. People seem to like it. Like, this was not a softball. This was like the odds were stacked against her to do her thing on this one and have it be well received. And I think she killed the execution of it. So for me, number 3, this is up there. This is a good one.
Okay. I think it is a good point. I mean, yeah, when you think of a Jordan 3, you do think of that elephant print. And we have none on this. So I think you're taking that iconic kind of staple of the shoe, and it is gone. So I do think that does speak to this shoe and specifically Nina Chanel, because I mean, you had Jordan who allowed a collaborator to play with that iconic
the branding.
Look. I mean,
yeah,
we had talked about even when Travis Scott's had started of the backward swoosh and even having that, or you know, we've been able to see like the Notre Dunk, you know, being able to see the play with that. So Nike, I like that Nike is getting into that where they are allowing, they understand the importance and power of a collaborator and letting that collaborator, I think, very more truly express themselves onto the shoe. So I appreciate that. I will say, or I will ask, you take the stitching off that back heel. You still vibing with this bad boy as hard as you are?
Stitching on the back heel does such heavy lifting on this one. And the fact that they tossed in the rope laces, right? You know, a lot of people would go aftermarket and add rope laces. They wouldn't look that good. Rope laces on this one look good.
I agree.
Normal, if it still says Nike Air, better chance. If it's not, if it's not stitched and it's Jumpman, I send it back. Okay.
No, it's Nike Air, but instead of that stitching,
the stitching,
it's just like it's the regular Nike Air that kind of like plastic, but it's green. It's green, but it's not the stitching.
It's tough to say because either way, I didn't buy it, right? You know, it'd be one thing if like I bought it and you were like, if it didn't have this stitching, would you still? I think it would still be on my list. I don't know. I wouldn't put Futuras above it necessarily and then move this down to honorable mention. So
yeah. I still think great spot then.
I will say for me real quick, and then we'll move on. 2 things I don't love about this shoe: leather sock liner. At least I'm pretty sure it's leather, not big for me. And then the accents of like Volt and neon orange that are kind of scattered mostly on the bottom of the shoe. And I think the insole, so you wouldn't really see it all that much, but just not for me particularly, but everything else considered, really good shoe. Love the fact that they're now going for closer to retail right now on resale. I almost bought a pair at resale when they came out, which was like, it was still just like $100 higher than retail. So in the world of how much resale can be, it was not crazy. But now I'm very glad that I didn't. So anyways, good shoe to go grab right now.
I like the neon orange, like the little hint, like almost like the little tag on the back.
I like that little tag on the back. It's on the bottom of the shoe. I just wish it was all cream. Yeah. But again, I'm getting nitpicky about the bottom of the shoe and the insole when once you have it on your foot, you will never see. So that's why the leather sock liner more of an issue for me. But
yeah,
I get it.
Too humid
where we are. Yeah.
Yeah.
Second place. Take us to silver.
Okay. Give me some oil, Mr. Tin Man.
Well, but not the silver paint, right?
Yeah, let's keep that. Yeah. Let's keep that in the 30s.
We have the technology now. Anyway, sorry, go ahead. Yeah. Second place shoe.
Looking at the second place, a lot of what made me really, I was looking second and third, which will be funny, but second and third were kind of, I had played with a lot. And the thing that solidified it was, funny enough, the collab, the chuts. It was that collector feeling. It was the feeling of if you don't like this, I got this. There were so many things that were involved, which I just think was very cool. And that is what had me choosing into second place. And that was the A6 Marvel and Kith supervillain pack.
Yeah.
On screen, shout out to Boogie, my little boy, went with the Spider-Man colorway because he said that was his favorite.
Adorable.
Kind of how you touched on earlier with this one, with going into, I thought you said it really great. This did feel like a little bit of a repeat.
Yeah.
Kind of how we talked in the last episode. Is it is it kind of feeling like a repeat of the same collab that we got last year? Yes, but last year's was so good, and I think they still did an amazing job this year.
Yeah.
With having the graded comics that come along with it, I think were great. This was tough because of all the shoes on my list. This was probably in the collab that I'd want to wear the least.
For what reason?
The colorways.
Yeah.
The silhouette's not bad. I mean, I'm not super into it. I think it's okay. It's a very classic silhouette for sure. I mean, it's tough because, obviously we're looking at the Spider-Man right now, but I feel like so many of them just look grade schooly.
Yeah.
It didn't necessarily look like something I would really be wearing pretty frequently.
I get that. Yeah.
So kind of felt that with these, but the joy that I got from this being revealed and how much is with it, it brought back the same emotions that I had with other release that we had previously, which is just I enjoy the fact that A6 and Kith did this collaboration to bring that kind of enjoyment to collecting and to be if you go here, it's different. If you go there, it's different. If you order online, you're still there's the mystery behind it. And I think a lot of how fast paced shoes come out now, there isn't a lot of mystery. So the fact that it would be you know what shoe you're getting, but you don't know what kind of grade of the comic you're getting, all the things that come with it. You don't know what you're getting.
I was going to ask, not to put you on the spot, but this year, this pack, they didn't do the mystery shoe. It was the grade that was okay. Last year was when they did the mystery shoe.
Yeah, you didn't know what you. Yeah,
I couldn't remember if they redid that this year or not. Okay, gotcha.
I want to say no to the shoe, but you didn't know. You had different grades, so you could have. Every shoe wasn't going to get the same graded comp. So there was some more limited to those things. So I do like that aspect that when you get it, all the other things that come with the shoe and the collab, there is that mystery. So I really just loved that aspect of it. It very much reminded me of the 2019, 2021, where everyone was super hype on Pokemon card packs and ripping them open in that kind of joy. So some kind of look back to that, which feels like forever ago, but it was only at max 5 years ago. Yeah. And that's what had it take silver for me. Like I said, of the shoes on my list, this is probably the one that I would want to buy to wear the least, but I would have the most fun purchasing this shoe.
There you go. Yeah. The only thing I'll add is that even though, I was saying a good bit that this is kind of a repeat of last year, I don't want to take away from the fact though that this is not easy to repeat. So while it's maybe not necessarily a totally new concept and idea, they still had to take a different silhouette from last year, apply however many 7 colorways to it, and still to get the comics all graded and packaged and to do everything they did with still very hard to pull off. That's why, it still deserves to be talked about and was in my consideration for honorable mention. So I just, not that anyone was getting all fussy about it, but just myself, I didn't want to look back on it. Man, they just did the same thing. They don't change anything. I acknowledge it still takes a lot of work to do what they did.
Yeah. And I think to me, it is I think there is like, I love that it's like, hey, yeah, we did the same thing. And we gave kind of some, bangers, back to back, and that was also a difficult thing to do. And we're able to do it. So I had to give it silver.
Good.
Like I said, I think it was the thing I'd had the most fun with, but not something I would want, which is why I thought silver was the most appropriate.
Good spot for it.
Yeah. Okay.
Second place.
Here we go.
So for those of you that remember the Venn diagram, right? Nina Chanel Avni's important. Maybe not something that I wanted to wear a lot.
Sure.
We have something I want to wear a lot. Second place for me is my overlap of the Venn diagram that I think is important and I do want to wear a lot. And that for me is the Salehi Bembury Crocs Pollux Juniper, specifically for me, the Tahini colorway. That's the one I picked up.
Bought it.
I did buy it. I've been loving wearing these. So like I said last week, Salehi got Crocs to do their first sneaker, which is a pretty big, feat in and of itself. But he also, looking at it, you could tell he stayed true to his design language, which for the average Crocs fan, right? Like the clog, this is pretty out there. This is a pretty far departure from what Crocs normally does. So that for me is why I'm such a Salehi stan to begin with, but B, why it makes it up to my second place is that I love the collaborator, the J-Tips, the Joe Freshgoods, that bets on themselves by working with kind of like the lesser known, less popular underdog shoe brand, but to then make something that like everyone wants to get when like they normally wouldn't be looking for something from that brand or that company. So that for me puts these up in second place.
I love
these.
it.
I love these so much. These are I'm pretty sure, going to take on our next vacation shoe already. Salehi shoes just give me that feeling of like, I want to go outside and be in nature and I want to beat these up a little bit, And the fact that they are, the upper's mostly like rubber, aside from like where the ankle opening is, that sock liner. Just knowing that I feel like I can get them dirty and at the end of the day, I could literally just like with a wet cloth, wipe them down to get anything off of them. Makes it feel like a good shoe to be outside in.
I like that.
For me, I like the Tahini colorway the most because as we've talked about a lot already, I feel like, at least for me, I can say, but I think for you as well, the older I'm getting, the less I want to wear Mario Kart rainbow shoes, just you slap it with maximalism. Like we put 7 colors on the show. I'm like, doing too much, not for me. So there is that, but I also think, just my opinion on this model, because the design is so out there already, I don't necessarily need an outlandish color or just like a very untraditional combination of colors like the Sud Green that I'm sorry, I know you love. For me, I look at it, I'm like, the design is a lot and the colors are a lot. My brain starts getting a little overwhelmed with them, like that shoe just feels like a lot. Whereas this, I'm like, oh, I love the fact that the color's so boring that like you can just focus on the design of this,
Yeah. And I think the reason I gravitate more towards the Sud is, I guess less of that green upper and more of that sole, because I like that I feel like it, which maybe in person it's a little bit more different. The Sud, I feel like, shows more of the detail. The
layer underneath as well. Not just the ridges on. Yeah, that's a good point. That is a good point. It shows those ridges a lot better, like the depth of them, but also, kind of like that foam layer underneath. You're right. You're right.
Yeah. So and that is the funny enough, I guess that's why, the Salehi Crocs ended up going to my honorable mention was because what I like most about it is the sole of a shoe, which is your less favorite. But I think to also highlight your point is the beauty in the design and how it does feel like such a wild design, but also it is very much like it feels like modern art, which seems like a weird thing that I'm saying about a Croc right now. Well, but it is one of the things where it's like a chaotic beauty. It does a lot to it. I do like that.
It's Croc's first sneaker. Like, it's just the fact that he's getting to do this sort of stuff and doing it so well is crazy. But I'll wrap this up by saying, as a male in my 30s, a couple of weeks ago, I was watching a woodworking YouTuber, as we do, men in our 30s, right? That's just, that's our hobby now. Yeah. And in his video, he was saying, it was funny because it made me think of this shoe, that when he's building tables, if you're working with an exotic wood, a fancy, beautiful wood, you do a simple design. And if you're doing a complicated design on a table, you work with a simple wood. But you don't do both at the same time because then it gets overwhelming to look at. Your eye is drawn too many places at once. So I think subconsciously, that's why I'm liking the shoe, because I'm like, I can just look at it and be like, oh, I look at all the design stuff. I don't immediately go, whoa, that's a lot of color and it's a weird design. It just a little easier for me to put off. I am looking forward to and hoping for more colorways of this shoe in 2025. And I don't need more simple colorways, but like, I think this year's track record was 1 and 4, right? I think he did 4 colorways this year. This was one of them. Next year, give me 1 and 4. Just, keep it simple and I will love it.
I like it.
Yeah. I'm excited to see what he does.
And he loves it.
I'm excited to see what he does with Puma basketball next year, but that's a whole nother episode.
That's gonna be crazy.
Yeah. All right. Top of the list. You talk about what we love. Here's what we love. You got a crazy pick. You got a crazy pick.
This is 100%.
But I love it because this is the pick of someone who's not looking for someone else's approval.
Very true. We said at the top of the episode, we were listing our criteria. My criteria, most importantly to me, was something I wanted to wear, something that I thought looked good, that I would want to buy, and what is something that I could consistently pull and wear and be comfortable with. I have seen you in this shoe. Well, this silhouette
model. Yeah.
There you go. I work with a guy who wears this model.
You got to get on
daily to work. We put in thousands of steps a day, and this guy wears it. And every time I see it, he's got a great rotation.
Yeah.
Every time I see it, shout out to Habib. He's actually leaving us real quick to go become a doctor with
he's doing all right
with his lady there, but she's going to give him a PA. They're doing great things. Shout out to Habib, my man with the sneakers. He wears this shoe and does not look distressed. Does not like it. Just it looks the first day he got it, and that is that's to me what I am really after is what can I wear?
Wow.
Put in the miles with, be comfortable with, and that had to be the Nike Vomero 5, specifically the back 9.
Imagine all that build up, and he was like the Lightning McQueen Crocs claw. Yeah. No, talk about it. What category was this for you last week that this took the winner for?
I'd have to go back to look specifically.
Most slept on?
Slept on, I want to say.
Okay.
Yeah. I want to say most slept on.
I knew this was one of your award winners last week.
Yeah. And again, I agree. It is also funny because of how you were just talking about the Crocs with your pick is also with this. I don't need something super bright, super loud anymore. Yeah. I'm not really gravitating to things that I used to buy shoes for head turners. I used to buy shoes to be like, I want someone to notice these shoes. Now I'm just being like, could I wear these Monday through Friday? Because I don't really do anything on the weekends anymore.
Yeah. Uh-oh.
So I'm wearing
too real. Hang on.
I'm wearing things to work. So could I put in the miles on this? Could this be comfortable? Is this not going to wreck my ankles, my arch support, my heels?
He used to buy shoes for head turning. Now he's buying shoes for bread earning. And clip.
See, here's the thing. You just don't have somebody over here. That's off the top.
Off the top.
That's
These are not
just
written
freestyling.
Down. Alfred Banks, I'd love to talk. All right.
But hey. Ooh. Snippets?
No, you do not want me. You do not want me. Yeah.
So it is very clean. It's a good look, kind of like I talked about in the last week's episode, so I'm not going to go super into this, but I do love the little hints to it. Seeing these in person, seeing the depth, seeing the paneling. Again, I'm a huge fan of the Alien series by Ridley Scott. So these, for some reason, every time I look at them, just remind me of a Xenomorph. Don't know why. But that also makes me like them. I don't know if it's the cage around it.
Should do a Rorschach test on this show at some point.
Yeah.
I feel like there's something going on in that brain of yours.
Yeah. Maybe an absence.
Is this Go Pack Go?
No.
No, I'm seeing green and yellow. You tell me.
I guess you could. I'm not a bit.
It would be hard to beat the allegations in these. That's all I'm saying.
It would. Okay. If you're wearing these in green, you're gonna get that. But I think kind of a wild pick for sure that I think people are gonna go and be like, of all the sneakers that came out this year, this was your number one. And I look at them and go, yeah. And I think that's just kind of, it's not anything to say about anything that came out this year because there were a ton of fantastic shoes that came out. But when I was thinking of my number one, I just was thinking of what is something that I could see myself wearing daily, every day.
All right.
At 9 to 5 and the Vomero 5 back 9. And this is like, you could get, this may be under retail. I haven't looked.
I don't know how much these are going for.
These got to be under retail.
Yeah,
which is great. Yeah. So
I love that you're standing on business. I love that you got 10 toes on this. This
10
is your
toes
pick.
down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a wild pick.
It's a weird one.
It's a wild pick.
Oh no.
Even of all the Vomeros that came out this year, this is a wild pick. But
yeah,
if you're happy, I'm happy for you.
2024 was a year of this like yellowish mixed with green for me.
This really shade of green. What is Nike calling it? Bicoastal green. This is this is a big year for that shade of green. So
and I ate it up.
Good on you. You got the jacket. It would go hard with your jacket right now. You got a fit right there. All right.
Once
wrap the episode. We got to get shopping. All right.
Yeah.
Well, on that page, then I will go quickly over mine. Okay, there it is.
This is what we've been waiting for.
I don't know who's been waiting for this. I think people know what's coming, but let's go ahead and drag it out a little bit here. First place sneaker of the year for me, 2024. Back to our Venn diagram, everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Shoes that are important. Nina Chanel Abney. Shoes that I want to wear. That's going to be number one. The crossover of important and I want to wear. Salehi Crocs. So what is? Okay. I just want to wear it. It's not that important. Which for me, for my sneaker of the year. That's big coming from where we've come from, right? Normally there's a lot of like, did it have a significant moment? Are we going to be talking about this in years? I'm going to be talking about this in years. First place, it's the undefeated Nike Air Terra Humara cargo and khaki. I felt guilty because I was loving this shoe so much in January that I was like, can I really 11 months later still stand on like, yep, nothing came out to beat this? But I got to tell you, as someone who owns this shoe, I put in my notes, this is just a Ryan shoe. I don't have a reason. I don't have a deep meaning behind why, this collaboration. It did not sell out. It did not go crazy. For a while, they did 4. Undefeated Nike did 4 Air Terra Humaras. The black one with the white swoosh was kind of like the one that took off. I think this one was probably like the next best one. I loved the collaboration so much that at the beginning of this year, before Cargo Khaki got announced, I bought the white and brown pair, remember? And I still have them. They are admittedly living in the shadow of this pair. I am not wearing them that much because if I'm grabbing a pair, I'm grabbing this one. Just, olive on the black, on the gray with the cream midsole that kind of looks aged, but with all the rubber spikes and the grip on it. So it looks kind of outdoorsy and ACG.
Yeah.
And it says play dirty on it. And it's just, there's so many good things about this shoe. And I love the fact that they were easy to get. I was one of the people on the website at drop time trying to rush to my cart to get it done. And literally weeks later, they were still sitting full size run. I did not need to go that quick. I did not need to put in that legwork.
That's how hype.
I was so excited for these. And so I'm not still grabbing them every day. There's some other stuff that's kind of come into my rotation that I've picked up that I'm wearing a little bit more, but these also hold a little bit of a soft spot in my heart because when my wife and I took our trip this year to Yellowstone and Grand Teton, this was the one pair of sneakers I brought that I did all my hiking and everything like that. Not big hikers. Quick disclaimer there. Don't think you're like, these are not quote unquote hiking shoes, but if you do the day trips like we do, like the in and out, you're on mostly paths. These are great for that. Just love this shoe. My top 3 rotated a lot. I kind of wanted to put Salehi Crocs above this one. Okay. But when I look back on it, I was like, no, just this one. There's just like, I just look at the picture of the shoe and I'm like, that's such a good looking shoe. I love it.
And you're not wrong.
Yeah.
It is. It is a good looking shoe. I love that our number ones this year were just, I want it and I like it. I'm happy.
I just want to wear that. Yeah. So I hit all collabs. Let's go ahead. We can hit the summary here. So
there you go.
Real quick for everyone who jumped this far in the episode. Yeah.
All collabs.
All collabs. Well, not your first place. Well, is it officially with Masters or not? I don't think it officially was, but
yeah.
Anyways,
because it didn't have any like stampings or something like that. So maybe not.
So quick recap of your list. Honorable mention to first place, if you could.
Yeah. Okay. Honorable mention. I went with the Leahy Binberry and Crocs Polished Juniper. Third place, the Futura Dunks. Second place, the Asics Marvel and Kith Super Villain Pack. And in first place, my best sneaker of 2024, the Nike Vomero 5 Back 9.
There it is. And on my end, honorable mention, Futura Dunk, Futura Nike SB Dunk Low. So the only shoe that made, well, no, I take that back immediately. Third place, the Nina Chanel Avni Jordan 3s. Second place, the Salehi Bembury Crocs Pollux Juniper. So we shared 2 shoes across our list. And first place, once again, the undefeated Nike Air Terra Humara Cargo and Khaki. My list is nearly identical to my halfway through the year list with some shiftings around of, so Anthony Edwards off the list, Futura on the list. And I think in my halfway list, I had Nina Chanel's above Salehi Crocs. I think Salehi Crocs were my honorable. I think, can I do, look real quick.
Oh, there you go.
Oh. Yeah, so there it was. So Salehi's moved to my second place. Nina Chanel's moved down to third place. And then
Crocs all the way up to 2.
AE got swapped out. You, though, Futura Dunks held on there. A Vomero, not the same one. When I was prepping... Yeah, go ahead. Sorry, I interrupt.
A Kiths and Aces.
Oh, still a Kith and Aces. I didn't even connect that dot. Yeah. So listeners, watchers, if there's anything to take away, in July of every year, we'll pretty much be able to tell you what's happened at the end of the year there. Second half of the year, kind of soft on drops. No, I don't know. Not necessarily the case, but I don't know.
It is also so funny because both of our third places got dropped.
Yeah, just completely off the list. And honorable mention got moved up.
So as if we need any more evidence that we have known each other for decades.
We're on the same page here now. Yeah.
It's literally like, oh wow, both their third places got replaced with something completely different, didn't make the list, and then both their honorable mentions got adjusted.
That's funny. That's funny.
Very funny.
It's funny. It wasn't until I was prepping for this week's episode, I wish I'd remembered the Kith Asics Soul Gel Light 3s when we were doing last week's episode. I don't know what category I would have snuck them into, but I just it wasn't until I did this and I saw them again, I was like, oh, I forgot about those. Like, that was a really good shoe, you know?
Yeah. So that's what I was saying. So okay, so I still had a Kith and Asics.
Right.
Still had a Vomero. Still had the Futura Dunks, and I still had a green shoe.
Yeah.
So that's what I was saying.
We know ourselves.
Even when I'm wrong, I'm right.
Thank you, everyone, for checking out another episode of Shoe Podcast. Let us know in the description down below, what do you think of our list? What made your list? What is your number one sneaker of the year? Just give us the top one there. But what do you think of our list? Let us know.
You join the Discord.
And let us know there.
And you hit us your honorable mention, third, second, and first.
So there you go. You can find us online. Well, I'll get back to that in a second. You can find us across all social media at Shoe Podcast. Everywhere except for where we're not. If you do want to continue the discussion with us, you can do so in our Discord, linked in the episode description down below. If you made it this far in the episode, thank you so much for listening. Consider hitting the subscribe button on YouTube if you're not already, or at least a like, maybe drop a comment, whatever you can do to help us. And if you're listening on your podcast platform, make sure you're following, make sure you leave that rating and review. The website, shoepodcast.com. I think it's down right now. I'm pretty sure it's down right now. Okay. We are switching website providers. By the time this episode comes out, it might be back online, but this is the one time and the only one time I'll tell you, there's nothing crazy happening over there, right? Like we have a website because we should have a website and it should link to stuff. The look on your face tells me that it's not going on right now.
It's up, but it's very bare bones.
Oh, it's not even it's not even logging on mine. Okay. We gotta okay. We gotta refresh because not refresh. We gotta end the episode because I gotta see your screen to see what show. Because on mine it's not even pulling up right now. So, anyways.
Oh yeah, I'm clicking links, dog.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you everyone for checking out another episode of Shoe Podcast. I have here in the outro, when will we be back? So here's the thing. This should be our last episode of the season, which for us the season is the year. I kind of want to sneak in one more, which I don't know if you saw in the episode outline. It's below this one. A fun, lighthearted, pretty open topic, but just kind of something. I think it's relevant. I think it's relevant for the two of us right now. So
I like it.
If we can, we're going to try to squeeze one more in before the end of the year. And then we typically take the month of January off. Not too much happening in sneakers, gives us a little bit of a break to catch up and prep for the next season. So I think you'll be hearing from us again within the next week. But if not, enjoy your holidays, spend time with your loved ones, enjoy your January, because I don't know that you'll hear from us again. And thank you so much for making it through one more season of Shoe Podcast. We might be saying the same thing next week on an episode, but who knows?
Very true. And hey, it's so nice we may say it twice.
That's right. I'm your co-host, Ryan Landry.
I'm your co-host, Tanner Young.
Catch you all sometime soon, I'm sure.